Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Welcome back. I'm Hashem. You're watching another Pushing Film live stream. I realized I don't really have a proper or set intro for this or anything really, so maybe I'll just talk about how I don't have an intro. I hope you're all doing well. I saw that some people are already online, so thanks for joining the chat. Finn, sadly it's 3 a.m. here in Western Europe. Keep the video up. Yeah, I'll keep it up for sure. Don't worry. But let me know if you're online. Let me know how you're going. What's been up? What are your thoughts lately? Any news? Oh, hey, it's Joey from Awesome Cameras. I assume it's you. Let's party. Yeah, so I just got back from holiday recently, so I thought I would do this live stream just to catch you up and kind of end the absence that has been on the channel for the last month, roughly, almost. And just tell you how the trip was, what's been up, any news, any upcoming things, any like new purchases and developments and so on. And to also share with you some news that someone else shared with me and was hoping that I would, spread the news about. Maybe you've already heard about it, but there's a new photo sharing app called the PhoToCo app on a Kickstarter campaign. So it's by Tom Humble he's on YouTube, so he has his own channel, Tom Humble. You might have seen him on Carl McDougall's videos recently, but I've been seeing his videos around for a while. He's been doing YouTube for a while, photographer from the UK, and he has been hoping for a while and planning to launch a new photo sharing app, kind of because the same reason a lot of people are sick of Instagram, where they're not really getting what they want out of that photo sharing app, and it's lost what used to be good about it, the sense of community. It's become inundated with ads and videos and reels and sounds and things that people aren't so necessarily interested in if they are there on that platform for creativity, for photography, for sharing, for community, for networking and learning, all that kind of thing. So yeah, he emailed me a while back, told me he was hoping to launch this Kickstarter. I'll put it up on the screen. That's my Lightroom screen. I will change that. Yeah, Kickstarter campaign, and PhoToCo is an app designed specifically for photographers as a place for them to share, socialize, learn, and grow. And from what I've seen and my look through the app, it has a lot of features. It looks really great. It has certain things that you wouldn't necessarily find on Instagram or ever have found on Instagram. So yeah, I know like a lot of people that I speak to or I communicate with through these live streams are really into this kind of thing because they're sick of Instagram, basically. So what are your thoughts? Is anyone here, has anyone already heard of it? But yeah, hey Jen, thanks for joining. Yeah, so some of the other features. Now, it's kind of split into 3 parts. And PhoToCo stands for Photographers, Tools, and Community. And it's a new social media, as I said, to try and bring that sense of community back, put the social back into social media, so to speak. And it is a Kickstarter campaign. So remember, if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, the way it works is if you help fund the project, so Tom and his team need a certain amount of money in order to develop the app, to create it, to launch it. And people can contribute, and you only get charged if the campaign is successful, right? So if you decide to fund it and you put in $20 or whatever, if it's not successful, you get your money back, basically. So there's not really any risk of you helping support a project that you believe in or you think you might be interested in for the risk of it not being successful, because then you just won't get charged. So that is a good thing about Kickstarter, right? Unique features. Has the photography section, which is going to be the free part, and then there's going to be a subscription model which unlocks more features, and 2 other sections, which are the tools and the community section. So you've got the PhoToCo, 3 parts. But what I've noted down here is that the photography section is kind of like old school Instagram. Tom's got a whole video on this, which I've linked in the description, by the way. You're much better off watching his video if you are interested in learning more about this and finding out further information. But yeah, that's going to have photography, no ads, going to have customization. It's going to have a shout outs section. There's no likes. So this platform is built around more commenting rather than likes, which I think is cool. There's going to be a camera club section. You can start camera club groups, which is one of the subscription parts in the community section of the app. It's going to be a tools section, which actually sounds really cool. This is actually encompassing a whole bunch of things like a light meter, a development app. It's got like kind of an ephemeris feature, which is something I personally use for planning shoots and finding out the sunrise times, where the moon's going to be, all this sort of stuff. And a viewfinder app, something else I also use, and I have separate apps for all these. So the cool thing about PhoToCo, I think, would be if they successfully managed to merge all these into one app and put it all in one place. And then there's going to be the community section, which is kind of like a mixture of Discord and Facebook kind of stuff for building groups and having that camera club feature as well. So yeah, check it out. There is a video by Tom Humble linked on his channel. I am not affiliated in any way whatsoever. I don't get anything out of you funding the campaign. I'm not even a huge user of Instagram myself, to be honest. I do like it. I don't have too much against it, but I can see the benefit of something better, right? I tried Vero and I didn't really stick with it. It's still there, but I just didn't, keep using it much lately. So yeah, what are your thoughts? Is anyone here still using Instagram a lot? Do you find it's kind of gone downhill? Has it revived a bit recently? Because I've noticed a little bit more kind of photography content. What have you found to be the general consensus with social media and photo sharing? All right, what's a current alternative photo sharing app that a lot of people are currently using? I mean, one that's very active. Well, as far as I know, Instagram is the most active photo sharing app. Then maybe Flickr, because I think Flickr had a bit of a revival. I used to use it way back in the early, 2000s or 2010-ish, onwards, until it died off and Instagram started blowing up. But yeah, I think it's had a revival recently. I still have an account, I just don't really go on there. But then, a lot of it is video-centric these days, like TikTok and all that. And there was Vero, which is pretty cool, actually. It's worth checking out. I made an account, and I think the way it's laid out is quite smart. I just found that not many people I follow were on there or are posting on there, and maybe it's just laziness on my part. So I think it's cool. I think it's good news if you are interested and you are looking for something new. This has the potential to be something massive, I think. It really, I'm not saying it's definitely going to work out and that the campaign will necessarily be successful, because there's a lot of work involved, and of course a lot of bugs and issues that hurdles for them to have to overcome when embarking on such a huge endeavor. But the potential for it, given what the plan is and the amount of planning and features, it can be huge. It could kill Instagram for photographers if everyone decides to go with something like this. So yeah, feel free to just check it out, see if it's your thing, and if you pledge, you can kind of get like a subscription amount for depending on how much you pledge. But yeah, once again, I'm not affiliated with it. I don't get any kickbacks. I just want to share this news, and I want to help Tom out with his endeavor, because the more people spread the word, the more eyes it gets to for those who might actually be interested. So comments about Instagram. Yeah, but it's just frustrating. Yeah. So it's all we got. Hey man, how's it going? Frames Magazine has an app now as well. Oh, okay. So Frames, I'm thinking of like the British street photography channel. Is that Frames, or am I thinking of something else? Have you had a look at the Darkroom rumor for amazing film photography content in film format? No, I haven't. I asked because there was Vera and others, but it seems like they all just faded out. It seems that way. There is some heavy backing by big names and content creators like Peter McKinnon and whatnot. And it has, I think, a lot of room for improvement. But I am just not personally too heavy on social media. My behavior is kind of like I jump on, I post, and I look at a bunch of things, and I'm off it for like most of the day. And then I pop back on maybe at the end of the day, and I try and really section out my time and not get too stuck into it. Like sometimes I fall in a trap and I sit there scrolling for a while. But yeah, everyone's behavior is different. And maybe part of it is because I go on there and I end up getting like videos or things I'm not interested in, or frustrating content or whatever. So yeah, what happened to Granary? Yeah, good question actually. Wasn't that a thing? I don't know. I never joined. I wasn't, for the same reason. I don't want to have too many social media apps unless I know I'm going to find that this one is the strongest. My friends are on there. I have no more reason to use the others, and I'll try and really dedicate most time to only certain media apps. And for me, it's YouTube mainly. Couldn't compete with the big dogs. Yeah. Yeah, I think there was some certain things about that, about how it was restricted to film shooters or other things that when I read about, I personally didn't like. So I was like, this is not for me. I like, you know, seeing all kinds of photography and not having exclusions like that. I personally didn't like that. So I, you know, one of the few reasons I didn't bother joining Granary. But yeah, that's that. Otherwise, how's everyone going? Is everyone still shooting much film? I know that like there's been a downward trend. People are selling their gear. I'm still trying to shoot. I went to New Zealand recently, as you may know. I already mentioned that, and I shot not too many rolls in the thumbnails. You would have seen it, just like maybe 5 rolls of 120, and then 2 rolls of 35mm, 2 or 3. We were only there for 10 days. It was mainly like a lot of snowboarding and family stuff, but I did also do a lot of photography and video content that I'm hoping to release on the channel soon. And I've developed all the film now. It looks really good. I had some Kodak Gold in 120, which is really growing on me because it's now becoming the most reasonably priced option to buy 120 color film. I don't really care for the difference that you might get from Portra when you're paying almost double. Not that gold is cheap either, but my results from gold from the first time I tried it, when I took it to Europe and such, when Kodak actually sent me a Pro Pack, beautiful. I loved it. And at the time it was cheaper. It was like 50, 60 bucks. Now it's more. So yeah, if you're interested in that, I'll keep posting a few shots to Instagram here and there from my New Zealand stuff. If you're not familiar, that's my profile. I've got it linked in the description. But just as an example, this was Kodak Gold 200, 120. Beautiful. I mean, what difference would Portra have offered that's worthwhile? I don't really see much. I mean, maybe the extra stop, but when you're shooting daylight, it's no point. Yeah, I shot some Reflex Lab 250D. I'm not a fan of those Remjet removed films much per se, like the 400D, whatever, same thing, because I don't really like these halations. But you know, they're not so bad. I would prefer it without the halation, but it wasn't on all the shots. It was mainly this night shot and a few others. But on my daytime shots, I didn't really get too much halation. This was from that same roll of Reflex Lab 400D. 250? I don't know which one they labeled it as. But yeah, it's a great film. I've shot a lot of 250D with Remjet in the past. And when you don't get that strong halation, it's not too different. There is a bit of a reddishness sometimes in the highlights and edges there. But yeah, it's not bad. So I would recommend Reflex Lab based on the few rolls I've tried. They were actually gifted to me by Darren again, who's actually been kind enough to send me a few rolls of film in the past. However, there were some light leaks and artifacts on some rolls, especially the black and white roll I shot. I can't remember the name of it. It was just like not the double X. It was a different black and white that they do. And it had like a certain shape light leak on every 3rd or 4th shot that must have resulted from handling or bulk loading. And I know it wasn't from the camera because of the placement. It was in between frames sometimes. It was just at certain intervals. And it was the shape of some kind of like, you know, I'm not sure what it really was, but it was definitely there on the film. And I have heard reports of a lot of these companies that re-roll and bulk load film. You're more prone to having scratches and light leaks, especially near the beginning and end of the roll. And otherwise, it was good. Yeah. But again, I didn't buy it myself. I shot some black and white. Also, I have like a bunch of content to go through, and some of it's going to make it into videos. Some of it I'll just share on Instagram. I hope it does. Instagram focus has shifted away from photography a long time ago. Yeah. I'm still waiting for you and Coops to come visit California. I'll have free film for you when you arrive. Dude, that would be awesome. Not for the free film, but just I can imagine him and I would go there. We'd just surf and hang out and take photos and shit. That would be good. I've met probably 10 to 12 people now who have all told me they have or are selling their film gear for an X100V. This is still happening? This has been happening for like a year now. Yeah. It's crazy that Fuji hasn't jumped on this and created something like, I don't know, I guess it's just really an inability due to manufacturing restrictions because they were always in short supply. So maybe if they could, they would have, but it's just surprising that they don't find a way to make more stock or make a X100V, I don't know, like extra edition that has some minor tweaks. So they could really cash out on the amount of demand for that, or make a slightly cheaper version that doesn't have the flip screen or something like that film shooters would jump on, or like an X100 6 or whatever the sequel will be by now. I don't know, maybe it's around the corner. Hi from Japan. Hey Kurt, hoping to revisit Japan soon. Free film, are you the second coming of Christ? Santa Claus of film. Yeah, so that's my news. Let me see my notes here on Google Docs. What else have I got? Yeah, one of the videos I'm hoping to make out of some of the content I shot in New Zealand is about using ND filters. All right, so that's one that's coming up within the next month, hopefully. And something that when I'm shooting landscape, especially in New Zealand, I went there in 2016, and that was a lot of landscape stuff I did then, lending itself to the use of tripods and therefore ND filters. And this time I also tried some graduated NDs, which I've done before. I have a Lee square system that I've had forever when I used to really do a lot of landscape. But this time I tried it with some film stuff. Yeah, and I thought it would be helpful for people who are not familiar with using NDs, graduated variables, all that sort of stuff. So I got that coming up, but let me know if there's anything that you would like to see coming up on the channel. I'm always asking this question. If there's anything that you're really like wanting that you're not finding out there, or information that you need a refresher on. Jeez, what's going on? Coffee hasn't kicked in yet. Yeah, let me know what you're interested in seeing on the channel, because I would rather make videos that I know a lot of people want. Like the stuff on light metering, that was purely because of the encouragement and requests I had from people to do something on Sunny 16 metering. And I was in the sense that I was saying, oh, well, there's plenty of videos out there. But people would say like, no, you should do it anyway, because they're not always all encompassing, and you could do something different. And I did. And a lot of people said, yeah, this is like one of the best videos I've seen on Sunny 16, which took me by surprise. And I enjoy doing that. Snapmore, hey, haven't been going on Insta much, but I'm still shooting film. Cool to see the NZ shots. I've still got to shoot my Silberzal stack. No halations, but cost a lot. Yeah, Silberzal is really nice. Come surf in California, that'd be cool. I know Coops is a big fan of what's that movie? Point Break. Which, even though there were some scenes that were meant to be set in Australia, they shot them in America anyway. Like, not all California necessarily, but yeah, it's iconic to us down here. Show a lot of film, New Zealand recent road trip. Hasselblad 501, nice. If you look at inflation from around 1995, the price of film has not even doubled in some cases. Fair enough, but it's still risen, yeah? Like, it's not as, is it a more expensive hobby than it used to be, even accounting for inflation? I would assume it is a little bit, at least. But yeah, let me know what you're interested in. In other news, another photo book I have that I purchased recently, actually I purchased it a while ago. It was a pre-order, and I'm glad I pre-ordered because it sold out immediately, and the price went up even more than what I paid for it, which was still the most expensive book I bought. It was like somewhere around 100 Australian dollars. Now it's like, it went up to like 200. It was 175 British pounds, and it's still sold out. And I don't know when or if they'll do a second run. And it's Trent Parke's Monument book. Anyone familiar? I haven't even, because I've been busy since getting back. I haven't even looked through it, but it arrived. I unpacked it. It's quite a beautifully manufactured and produced book. It's all black, you know, you can see all these, it's a leather bound book. See the handprints there? It had this little metal plate here, a signed, like, numbered thingy. I don't know what the point of it is necessarily. Like, it's not attached to the book, but pretty cool if you're a collector kind of person. I just really love the photography. That's the main reason I wanted to get it. I love Trent Parke's work. I've always loved it. My first exposure to a good photo book and to wanting to do street photography myself in any serious sense was looking through a friend's copy of Dream Life by Trent Parke. So that to me was like transformative. I was like, what? This is photography? This is what people can go out on the street and create? It was so abstract and cool and yet familiar because of the streets of Sydney that I just loved it. I didn't realize that could be done. Even though I'd seen some street photography, I really resonated with that, and I had to give that book back. But then this is my first Trent Parke book now. I'll give you a little quick flip through, but it's pretty damn cool. Like I had a really brief flip, but I haven't properly looked at it. So I'm gonna do a live stream sharing this photo book. This will be a good one. So for anyone who missed out, that could be cool. You can get a glimpse of what's in the book. Kurt, I bought an M4 because of you, and it's the best camera I've ever had. Nice. Yeah, it is one of the best cameras ever made, I think, the M4. And I'm now saving for an MA. Awesome. Yeah. Mr. Cranberry. Great live stream, more quality street photography. Suggestion. As in like suggestion for videos. I'm always willing and planning to do more street photography videos, especially the POV. I enjoy those, even though they don't get like a whole crap load of views. The people who do watch them often are other street photographers. They seem to really enjoy them, and I enjoy making them and sharing them. They're a little bit easier. I can just pop an action camera on, go out and shoot like I normally would, and then just share it. The only hard part is editing it all together. It's a bit of a nuisance, but it's fun. Junhan, good pick up on Monument. I think mine will come in September. So you must have ordered in a later round, I guess? No spoilers. All right, well, I hope that little flip through wasn't too much of a spoiler. You should have just closed your eyes or turned off the screen. Yeah, so New Zealand, content coming up, video on ND filters. I might do just a casual photo vlog video from the New Zealand stuff as well. Some of the just general shots and walkabout and road trip stuff that we did. Sarah and I did a drive out to Mount Cook, and it was mainly based around Queenstown. And I shot up in the snow as well. I did some portraits of people up snowboarding and people in cool 80s outfits on medium format Kodak Gold. Again, using those NDs to help keep shallow depth of field. So some fun stuff hopefully coming up from that. Remember to let me know what you would like to see. The last thing I was going to share was like a bit of a mishap or a mistake on my part that it could be a good learning experience because, you know, it happens to the best of us. The first time it happened to me. And it was basically a mistake I made while developing a roll of Delta 3200 in 120. Really stupid mistake, but it happened after years and years of shooting and developing film. It had never happened before, but it finally happened to me. And what it was is that I was developing a roll of 120 in the tank, and you're required to pour in a certain amount of chemistry, so 500 milliliters. And then I was listening to a podcast and doing everything was in autopilot, right? And this is when you lose attention when you're just working in autopilot. You get complacent, familiarity, and then I hadn't realized until getting all the way to the fixer or the stop bath that I'd only poured in 300 mil of liquid, right? So that's not enough to cover the entire film. So the film is that wide, and 300 mil means only mainly that part of it was developed. And even though you agitate and the liquid does spread around, there'll still be this line. And yeah, we all make mistakes. It kind of somewhat ruined the whole roll, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I'll show you now. Where's my Lightroom? So I'll move this notes out of the way. Yeah, I tried to fix it. I tried to edit the line out, but I'll show you here. It's not really as noticeable there, but so if you look at this, there's a darker area here. So the well-exposed part, the well-developed part, is where the liquid went up to, and you can see this fade line there where there wasn't liquid just sitting on it when it was not being agitated. So that's what happens if you don't pour in enough chemistry. It's a dumb mistake. Like hardly anyone probably does this, but it can happen if you're not paying attention. And there was no reason for me to not use enough chemistry. I had it. I wasn't thinking hard enough, obviously. But then I tried to edit this out in Lightroom and just apply kind of a gradient filter. And you can see it kind of works. Instead it leaves this line where you can see the transition happen, but that makes it look more like a weird light leak or aberration, which I would prefer than having this like darker area. So I kind of applied that across the whole roll so that it would before after, because it's in the same spot roughly on the whole roll. So it was salvageable. There are some shots that were family shots that I really was hoping that I didn't lose completely, or they weren't really bad, but at least they're still usable. And with something like a family shot, it's not so bad if there's a weird line or light leak. So don't make that mistake. All right. Even though you get to the stop bath, once you've stopped it and put that fixer in, you can't undo this. You can't go back and develop it evenly. It's already been unevenly developed, and yeah, it's one of those things. So hopefully that can help you avoid the same mistake. All right, I think I will just look at a few more comments and sum this up soon, because I have a lot to do today. I've got to go to my nephew's birthday and get some work done. What about Newgrain? Do you know anything about that? No, what is that? Is that another app? Or is that what is that? I have no idea. Any tips on drying film without water streaks? Yeah, absolutely. I used to get water streaks and blotches and watermarks all the time until I started using distilled water with PhotoFlow for the final rinse. You don't have to use distilled water for the entire process. Some people do. For a cleaner process, they use distilled water to mix their developer and stop bath fixer. And I don't do that. I just use tap water, which is pretty soft here in Melbourne. Admittedly, it doesn't have a lot of minerals, but it does still leave marks if I don't do the distilled water with PhotoFlow final rinse. So yeah, just for the final rinse, I mix up working volume of distilled water with the correct, make sure using and measuring out, either using weight scales or a little medicinal dripper or something, the correct ratio of PhotoFlow or any other similar wetting agent. It's usually 1 to 200 or something like that. So yeah, for the final rinse, before you hang it, and then I hang it in the shower, somewhere where there's not too much dust circulating around. And ever since doing that, I hardly get even any dust because of the anti-static properties of PhotoFlow. It really works well. And if you're using distilled water, you're not depositing calcium and all the other minerals that result from tap water. It's really important. People don't think about it, but I never use a squeegee. I actually recommend you not to use a squeegee if you use this method. You'll have much cleaner negatives, less watermarks, less dust sticking onto it because of the anti-static properties. And then try and keep it, clean and away from dust until you scan it in. I put it in some plastic, put plastic sleeves over it, put it in a Ziploc bag or something. I actually have a whole video about this, so you can check that out on the channel. Just look up clean negatives or something like that. You'll find it. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Was there anything else I was going to talk about? Yeah, the mistake thing. And one last thing is, unfortunately, while in New Zealand, my Pentax 645N finally, after 6-ish years of ownership, has had its first issue. And it was kind of my fault. And also because it was cold, the weather was cold, my hands were kind of all stiff and the camera dials felt stiffer than normal. I went to change the metering mode and then my hand was like struggling and it kind of just slipped. And then it pushed the switch too far beyond the third option. And I felt a little crack. And then that switch broke, unfortunately. I'm glad it was only just the metering mode switch, but now I don't even know necessarily if it's on matrix metering or on spot metering, which mode it's stuck on. I'm pretty sure it's matrix metering, but once I get my negatives back, I can actually check the edge data and at least I can figure out which metering mode it's stuck on, like whether it's center weighted or average or whatever. But I'm sad about that because that camera had no issues for the longest time. And due to some silly thing like that, it broke. And I know that the switches on those cameras are one of the first things that often break, one of the most common problems. Maybe I can fix it, who knows. Anyway, that's all the news I have. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for the suggestions. Anyone who made suggestions for videos, please feel free to make more, even if this is something you're watching post live stream, leave it in the comments. Let me know what you've been up to, what you want to see on the channel, anything, any news. And yeah, I'll try and bring something to the channel soon. It'll be a while before I have time to edit together another video. I've got a wedding to edit, some other stuff, so yeah, we'll see. Can't really give a timeline. So it was another photo sharing app for film. Seg Zeman on your comment. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. Kurt, we'll try that. Yeah, definitely. If you're not already doing that, it's a big problem solver in my experience. All right, guys, thank you for joining. And thank you for being patient with the lack of content and to continue to be patient for another week or two before I think I can put anything up. And yeah, that's all I have. I'll see you in the next video or live stream.